Hey everyone, BBD here, and today I'm playing a Solar Flare deck that the late Wendy's founder Dave Thomas played in SCG Kansas City. I made one change to the sideboard, but otherwise the deck is the same as his. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it. It's basically the standard Solar Flare engine. You have Sun Titans that can bring back Phantasmal Image to copy Sun Titan and get back things like Oblivion Rings and what have you. So it's basically like your standard Solar Flare deck, but it has a few slight differences. For example, playing Augur of Bolas, and Augur of Bolas may seem a little out of place, but in this deck there's actually 21 instants and sorceries, which is about as many as Delver plays, so you're going to hit a high percentage of the time, and Sun Titan can also bring him back as well. And I want to talk about some of the cards we have here. We have 3 Day of Judgments. Sweepers are great right now. There's like a ton of creature decks like Pod decks, Delver, various green aggro decks, and this is just the best card against those decks. So I don't think you want to play less than 3 Sweepers main deck in a deck like this. We have a few pieces of spot removal, Go for the Throats, and then we have 3 Oblivion Rings, which is a little high for most Solar Flare lists, but Oblivion Ring is very good right now. People are moving to things like Hero Bladehold. They're moving to stuff like Birthing Pods, and there are Titan decks out there. Oblivion Ring's just a great catch-all removal spell. And Mana Leak's the same way. Even though Cavern of Souls isn't standard right now, Mana Leak you're still going to generally get value out of it. Even if they have a Cavern, you can counter a number of spells anyway. Not every spell they cast is going to be uncounterable. Ponders and Forbidden Alchemies are just the best dig spells. Ponder lets you look 3 deep. You have Evolving Wilds to shuffle your library if you need. You have Augur of Bolas to provide a pseudo shuffle. So it's a good way to grab a card you need and then maybe ship the other 2 away if you don't want those. And then Alchemy is just does everything in this deck. It lets you dig for whatever answer you need for the time being, and it fills your graveyard up with stuff like Oblivion Rings for your Sun Titans later on. The mana base here, we have a lot of dual lands, basically a fairly standard mana base. We have 1 Vault of the Archangel and 2 Ghost Quarters. Ghost Quarters are basically there for the Wolf Run decks, the decks playing like Gavony Township, like a green-red aggro deck may have Kessig Wolf Run. It's basically there for that, and you can recur it with Sun Titan. Vault of the Archangel is an amazing card in this deck, and you may not expect that, but when you have cards like Lingering Souls, it turns every token into something that can trade with whatever your opponent is doing, and it lets you gain a lot of life with a Sun Titan attack. So now we're going to look at the sideboard a bit. We have 2 Dissipates. These are for any number of control decks, like you may see a Trading Post deck, another Solar Flare deck. These are also good against decks like Wolf Run. If they don't have a Cavern for their Titan, you can counter their Titan. You can also get stuff like Temporal Masteries that are really big against you. 2 Deadweights. Deadweight is really good with Sun Titan against aggressive decks because you can keep bringing it back over and over again with a Sun Titan trigger. So these are going to come in against decks like Naya aggro or red-green aggro or green-white or mono-green. You're going to want stuff like Deadweight. And another neat thing about Deadweight is because when you bring it back with Sun Titan, it actually doesn't target. So you can put it on hexproof creatures like Geist of St. Traft. So that's a neat trick with Deadweight and Sun Titan. Nevermore is going to be for decks that have a lot of problematic cards that the rest of our deck's not well equipped to handle. Basically decks that are able to go over the top of us. Sever the Bloodline is kind of an all-purpose removal spell. Good against cards like Lingering Souls, good against Sun Titan Chains from other Solar Flare decks. It's good against zombies. It's good against Gravecrawler or Geralf's Messenger. Timely Reinforcements, again, is also kind of an all-purpose card against zombie decks or other aggressive decks. It just buys you the kind of time you need to get to your end game and win the game from there. Phantasmal Image is just another copy of Image for matchups where you want to bring those in. Basically decks that have a lot of creatures worth targeting or worth copying, such as Hunt Masters, Blade Splicers, Restoration Angels, and the like. Doomblade, this is where my list differs a little bit from Dave's list. I added a Doomblade instead of a second Timely because I felt like the deck could use another piece of spot removal for matchups that have cards like Restoration Angel that you want to be able to deal with. Stony Silence and Revoke Existence kind of overlap in that they do similar things, but they also have slightly different utilities. Stony Silence is great for shutting down like all swords. That's the main thing. Like you want to shut down swords. It also shuts down cards like Trading Post, Pristine Talisman, all that kind of thing. So it's like exceptional against those decks. And Revoke Existence kind of does the same thing, but it also lets you hit stuff like Oblivion Rings and enchantments that may be problematic. And then Celestial Purge is just your standard zombie hate card. You're going to want to hit like Geralf's Messenger and Gravecrawler, cards that would otherwise give you huge problems. So here's the Solar Flare deck that Dave Thomas played, and hopefully I will be able to beat Todd and bring home the Baconator.